Binance finally settling with the Department of Justice and the SEC or whatever sort of litigations were going on against them. I don't know what three-lettered company was coming after them, but more importantly, the question is it time to panic, as I see a lot across social media venues? Well, perhaps yes. We'll be going over we'll be going over some similar situations in Bitcoin's history, and then obviously the daily statistics and analysis. So other than that, I'm going to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Wednesday morning over here, at least according to my calendar. And I should let you know that the new website is live at www.crowntrading.net. It is no longer app.crowntrading.net. All of your accounts and programs and whatnot should have automatically been switched over. If there's any issue with that, then simply email support@crowntrading.net, and they will take care of you right quick. I should also let you know that all of the prices for most of our products have been reduced significantly, especially my favorite one, which is a Krown Quant automation, which essentially allows you to, well, input whatever you want into a script and then automate trading and backtesting from that script. Anyways, yeah, I think without further ado, let's jump right into it. So what I'm alluding to at the beginning of this video is the BitMEX situation in September of 2020, where I believe it was the Department of Justice came after Arthur Hayes and in BitMEX for all sorts of things, like anti-money laundering and banks, whatever the hell act. I don't know the specifics of it exactly. Kind of similar to what Binance was going through or is going through as well, or I guess now was going through because I suppose it's over. But as a part of the deal with BitMEX, one of the stipulations was Arthur Hayes has stepped down, and they got some big bad fines. And what do you know? Binance kind of same thing. CZ has stepped down, and they get some big bad fines that I believe they get a pretty pretty agreeable time frame to kind of pay over. It was like either in the over the course of many months or even several years. I forget the specifics of it. Anyways, I'll bring you back to September of 2020, and of course, history does not repeat, but it rhymes. And there was a lot of similar things coming in from this region that were similar as far as the actual market cycle goes. Of course, Bitcoin had put in its parabolic blow off top somewhere around here in 2018. This is a CME chart, so it doesn't actually have it. Spent the next year or so going down, okay? Then had its pre-halving rally, if you will, which was more or less just sideways. It was a big splurt up and then more or less sideways. You know, if you do kind of put on a higher term time frame, you know, the old Rona times over here really just traded sideways. I mean, for about 6 months or so, yeah, things were, or sorry, a year almost. Things were, more or less closing within this range, slowly stepping up, more importantly. And then when did that BitMEX news come in? It was this area right here. Actually, let me just get rid of everything so this doesn't get too confusing, but it was this area right here, coming after essentially the capitulation dump, or, first off, the capitulation dump over here. So the reverse of the overall bear market into a transitioning market. Then that sideways transitioning market, emerged for quite some time after that first major move to the upside. And then, well, the news dropped somewhere in this region right here. I don't know the exact date. I think it was about in the, I believe it was actually like right here in that first week of September. And as you can see, just a quick move to the downside after overall, just trudging its way upwards and onwards. But most importantly here, and what I really want to focus on, and this is where maybe you could see some sort of a rhyming, would be that on the higher term timeframes, higher lows were maintained, and, well, the rest was kind of history after that. And I'm not saying that this portion over here is going to happen exactly 1-to-1. No, I do think that Bitcoin generally, kind of floats its way sideways and up in the next year. There's probably going to be some big corrections, obviously big to the, maybe even to the tune of like 30, maybe even 40%. But ultimately, I do think that we still see in the cycle low. This doesn't really change all that much. It was pretty, at least intuitively, I'm no lawyer or nothing, but seems like a pretty agreeable settlement to me in Binance's favor. Anyway, similar thing over here, right? Okay, there's your low, obviously, so far at least. And, well, big splurt to the upside, sideways for about 6 months, and that next move to the upside, do we see a bit of a pullback? Perhaps yes, but again, to put things into context, Bitcoin has higher lows as long as it's putting in higher lows above, especially $26,000. I mean, shit, anything above $32,500 to $33,000, it still would look damn good to me. So ultimately, does Bitcoin pull back? We'll kind of answer that question a little bit later as to, how bad this might look, or if it doesn't look bad at all, in fact, hint, hint. But keep that, keep this number in mind, $33,000 on CME. Anything above there, it's just another high or low and ultimately an opportunity. Anyways, now that we've gone through that, I do want to go through some of our regular charts here. Let me go through first our statistics chart. This is for CME, and this is the Krown range sets. I got a few questions about this the other day in the Discord. It's just a part of the Chart Prime package, which actually also has its own sale going on with the code capital BF30. Yeah, BF30, 30% off of all those plans. And you can get this indicator bundled with all the other indicators. Even the Jewel Light comes with it, but the Oracle, the Dynamics, so on and so forth, those all come with it. And even more to come. I think in the back half of this month, they're going to be creating more indicators that I've actually requested from them. Anyways, we can see that for Wednesday, on CME, it's been more or less a wash as far as positive closures versus negative closures. Just over 52% have closed positively throughout the full history of CME. What I want to focus on here right now, though, is the average return for both the bullish and the bearish side, which is basically the same, actually, at about 2.5% or just under 2.5%. But let's put that into context, because Bitcoin's already played out a short-term downside move today. And what do you know? That move has been almost 2.5%. So far, about 2.25% to the downside. So, I'm not saying that it has to do exactly that, but just putting things into context, that is even still above that yellow 20 simple moving average right here on the daily. It's not that concerning as of right now, is what I'm trying to say. And it'd even be reasonable to say that, well, statistically speaking, it's actually kind of likely that maybe that even was the low for today. We'll go over kind of more, or we'll go into more details on that later, but it's not out of the question is what I'm trying to say on that move. And again, still maintains above the 20 simple with the positive slope. It's kind of hard to hate as of right now. So could this all just be, one massive opportunity? Maybe. Let's go over here to the 2-day time frame. I should say that there certainly is potential for a greater pullback. Absolutely. What would be the criteria for that? Well, it would be with a move, and especially a daily closure below about $36,000. Again, here on CME, which is right now like over $900 above that number. If that were to happen, then yes, at that point, I do think that Bitcoin will still see that $34,000 to $33,500 number. Kind of the same thing that we were going over yesterday with the HPDR bands. Let me go to the daily here. But that first corrective target was already met, and the bounce off of it has been pretty good. Pretty good thus far. Obviously, it's very, very early within the day. Not 15 hours, 58 minutes, and 29 seconds left to go. But if that next criteria is met, okay, then yeah, I guess I'd have to be looking, for the next move down to about 35 or just below 35. Probably try for a bounce there. That bounce probably would fail, and I'd probably be looking closer to like 34 or 33.5, and that's where I do think that the greater opportunity would likely emerge from. But for right now, it all kind of hinges upon that $36,000 number again on CME. That would confirm several things. It would confirm 2-day time frame regular bearish divergence, and well, the 2-day time frame Jewel would also kind of continue down here, and that start to look kind of nasty. But for right now, the response is actually okay. So I wouldn't even necessarily be leaning to that right now. Yesterday, it was a little bit easier for me to call for like a likely correction, or at least my opinion, that it was a correction. Finally got one of them right, but which is why I don't trade my fucking opinion. But ultimately, this is, as it is right now, it's not really giving me too much. It bounced exactly where you want it to bounce from, off of that first sort of targeted region for that short-term correction. Anyways, now that we've gone through that, I do want to go over how would you know, or at least what would my way of knowing what an overall just continuation of the upside from here would look like. Well, basically what I'm trying to say is that the news was a trap, and the lows are already in, and Bitcoin is ready to actually bust on through, I guess, into the end of this month. I still think that's a little bit less likely, but here would be my criteria for that. Over here on the daily for CME, we can reference that daily stochastic momentum is going to have a chance to do two things. One, it's going to have a chance to actually cross the upside today. As of right now, it is positioned to the downside. But the pivot, as you can see, is 37,300. So that is not that far away from current price action. And if that was met, meaning closed above, I would say that that's a damn good indication that we've already seen the low on this move. And Bitcoin, tries its way sideways and up from here. Also, we would see just yet another test on this trendline regression here, which, well, if that holds, I mean, again, same thing. These have been essentially holding the major lows since middle of September, connected with the October or the mid-October lows, I should say, and then potentially these lows over here coming off that Binance news. So just wanted to get that out there because ultimately, there certainly is potential for that. That would be my way of sort of confirming such a thing. But for right now, yeah, I mean, probably better to err on the downside, I suppose. But just looking at oscillators right here and kind of comparing this with the BitMEX situation in 2020, look at where the daily RSI is. You can see that it's kind of basing around the edge of the bullish control zone. I'll make sure to get rid of all this because it's going to be too much, but kind of basing around the edge of the bullish control zone there. Let's go back to 2020 and we can see that this one was basing around the edge of the bearish control zone, but did ultimately reject it. But you can kind of see, somewhat similar relationships there preceding that, kind of dancing around here. Then it did drop off. That drop off was the major opportunity. And thus far, Bitcoin has not really gone lower than that, or even anywhere near it, I should say. Anyways, one last thing as we're still here, I should let you know that what was I going to say? Oh yeah, that's right. The MetaSignals project that I was showing yesterday. For me, that is a project that I'm an investor in. I always want to say that straight outright. I'm 100% biased towards this, but I think the best way for me to kind of present it is to just show you the results and let you know that you can get a free feed of these results in their Discord, which you can find from their website, metasignals.io. You can get these in real time, but this was one that just fired off yesterday. It basically told you to get out of that FTM move to the upside, which was this one right here on the 12-hour time frame, before that catastrophic meltdown, as it did hit that third target, just above 30 cents, and then, well, obviously down here. So, ultimately, these are something that may or may not interest you, of course. I myself am not really an altcoin trader. Not that this is necessarily geared for alts. It's just it includes a lot of the top market cap coins. And kind of the idea is that, hey, you probably don't have enough time yourself, or at least I know I don't have enough time to be looking at all these different tickers. And not that I even really want to be honest with you, but I know that other people, do find value in this. And well, what you can do instead is you can have this sort of alert you as to potential opportunities there. Just collecting that data, and again, you can get these signals for free, literally for free. Just go to their Discord and it'll be shown there. All right, sweet. That's enough for me on this particular day. I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and happy Thanks almost giving. Sirs and Zers. See you next time.